All right, my hair is green. I'm wearing the Blink-182 shirt. I'm ready to go. Blink-182 have been playing live shows with the original guitarist and co-lead singer Tom Delonge for about a year now. They even had released a new song with Tom last year called Edging, which I thought the song was pretty good. And Tom's vocals sounded better than they had in years. And if all that wasn't enough, now we're getting an entire album of new material with the original Blink-182 lineup. The album is called One More Time, and it drops October 20th. In anticipation of this album coming out, the band knew that there were a lot of skeletons in their collective closet that needed to be aired out. You don't spend 5 years of your career with a different dude on guitar and vocals, and then the original guy just comes back and the fans aren't asking any questions. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. So the band dropped an almost 4-minute video explaining why Tom's back, why he left, and why they don't want Matt Skiba back. Let's talk about it. This is Dancing with Ghosts.
You know, there was a lot of bad blood. There was a lot of stuff in the press and feelings and all this stuff. You know, emails like, Tom has stopped all recording and work with Blink-182 effective immediately. Don't call him, all this stuff. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Don't look at me with these cameras.
So yeah, there's that part. Tom DeLonge had quit Blink-182 after wanting to pursue all of his To the Stars Academy crap that nobody really cared about, and Angels and Airwaves, and he wanted to hunt down aliens.
Quite frankly, a lot of people thought that you left Blink-182 to become professionally crazy.
Found myself in these weird oceans that I didn't know really how to navigate. I definitely didn't want to hold these guys back in any kind of way.
We're like, fuck Tom DeLonge. If he doesn't like Blink, then fuck it.
But this wasn't the first time that Tom quit the band. They're trying to almost make it seem that way, but if you're around my age, you definitely remember the big split after the release of Blink-182's critically self-titled album. Tom would rejoin the band only after Travis Barker's tragic plane crash, where he would suffer severe second and third degree burns. Much like back then, Tom admits it was Mark's cancer scare that motivated him to rejoin Blink-182.
I remember telling my wife now, like, well, I don't think I'm ever gonna play music again. I don't think I'm ever gonna tour again, until Mark told me he was sick. And then I was like, that was the only thing I wanted to do.
In fact, the name of this record and song of the same name is pretty much about why does it take a plane crash or a cancer diagnosis to keep the band together.
Album, like One More Time, is kind of written about like why does it take these catastrophes like me being in a plane crash or Mark being sick for our band to get back together.
I honestly don't know what that says about a person when they are always trying to flake out of the band that they started and will only be enticed to come back when tragedy strikes. Also, for any of you who were Blink-182 fans between the years of 2016 to 2019, well, the band just kind of wants you to forget that period ever happened.
I really feel like Blink is us three. And as soon as we accept that and we just don't settle for anything less than that, I just think that's the future.
Matt Skiba's ass has been unceremoniously booted from the history books of this band, essentially, from what Travis just said. That must be a real kick in the nuts to a guy who probably didn't see any of this coming and sacrificed like 4 or 5 years of his life and career just to essentially be a fill-in. Now, I was never a fan of Matt Skiba, though. I've made a whole video about that. I thought their songs during that Skiba era were some of the weakest that Blink-182 had ever written. In fact, they were using outside writers to make these bland teenage-themed songs that would sell records, and they were utilizing heaps of auto-tune. Now, hold on to the auto-tune thought because we will be getting back to that one. Anyway, moving on.
Coming out with these words one more time, it's like, hey, you know, this is the last time we're gonna fuck this up.
So Tom proclaims that this is the last time we're gonna fuck this up. Tom, you were the reason the band broke up not once, but twice. I get it, you know, you're a creative dude and you hated being trapped in a small little pop-punk box that you built, so you must on some level like it. I mean, the other two guys seem perfectly content with staying in Blink-182 until the wheels fall off. So I guess we shall see what happens with Mark III of Blink-182, a very middle-aged Blink-182. I must say, good God, these guys look old now. Being a famous, known person and swirling around in the public zeitgeist for over 20 years really plays tricks with your head if you're just a casual observer, because this is what Blink-182 still looks like in my mind whenever I think about them. And this is what they actually look like now. And then I have to remind myself, like, Oh yeah, that was like 20 years ago, stupid. How did I look 20 years ago? Yeah, a lot younger and a lot fatter, but that's besides the point. Let's get to the music. So they did a good job at teasing several songs in this trailer, and honestly, I liked what I heard. It sounds like the natural progression of Blink-182. People's biggest complaint about Blink-182's albums in the past, their past few ones that they did anyway, with Tom in the band, was that it sounded too much like Angels and Airwaves, which was Tom's side band. It was the band that he formed after quitting Blink the first time. I know it gets kind of confusing. Angels and Airwaves had a more ambient synth rock sound, and many of those elements could be heard on Blink's first comeback record, Neighborhoods. Plus, Tom still had that same Angels and Airwaves vocal tone, which made Neighborhoods kind of sound like an Angels and Airwaves album, but with better drumming and some vocals from Mark Hoppus thrown in. Now, I quite liked the album, though. In fact, it's my favorite Blink-182 album ever, out of all the stuff they've ever put out. But let's talk about modern-day Blink. I think there's been a bit of a going back to their roots effort going on with the music that I heard. First off, the opening track on the new album is called Anthem Part 3, a clear throwback to the Enema of the States anthem, and then the opening track off of Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, Anthem Part 2. So there's a callback to the fans right there, clear as day. Hey, no more of that Angels and Airwaves synthesizer crap, which... fine, I suppose there's a time and place to return to your roots and bring back the classic sound. I will say, though, good lord, that auto-tune I mentioned earlier, these guys' voices are soaked with it in the clips that I heard.
I wish they told us it shouldn't take a sickness or airplanes falling out the sky.
Just that perfect pitch, that perfect flat sound that kind of sounds like this. When you sing naturally, it shouldn't sound this perfect. I kind of sound like a robot who is trying to sound like a person. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it, but after Mark's chemo and Tom's naturally shitty vocal control, I guess the boys need all the help they can get in that department. I even made a video about how they used auto-tune live at a Coachella event, which did make their vocals sound very accurate, but then the moral dilemma is raised, like, how live are you really when computers are fixing all your bum notes? Either way, I've always loved Blink-182, even if I've slightly outgrown their stuff. They're just likable people, and I will always root for them, especially when Tom is in the band. So when their album drops on October 20th, I will be there to stream it and review it. And until next time, have a good rest of your night.